And Maryland might be that team that people forget about. Oh, yeah, their front line is like some real MFers.
Yeah, they're really fucking good.
Queen, we already talked about. But Angel Reese's little brother is
Julian Reese, yeah.
He's
that's Angel Reese's little brother?
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, that's Angel Reese's little brother.
That, but he's damn good.
He's damn good.
Oh, so he doesn't miss layups like Angel?
Oh, no, he smokes a lot of layups. Which
it runs in the family.
It does, yes. Like, he does some real boneheaded shit. Yeah. And it's like, who coached y'all?
Yeah. All right, welcome into the Slobberknocker Sports Podcast, episode 75, March Madness. We saw the first two rounds this weekend. Got Uncle T here, got my boy Vex here again. Thanks for joining us, Vex. Glad to have you back.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, ready to have a good show. We're going to talk all the first round, second round matchups. Not a ton of upsets. Interesting first round, though. Had a much better slate of games yesterday. I would say round 2 in general was better than round 1.
Yeah.
Really good games last night. We'll jump into all that. We'll talk about the Sweet 16 matchups, who we think is the best remaining teams in the bracket. Maybe we'll touch on some NBA if we have some time, but let's jump into this. I'm going to do 2-minute drill first. So we've got a couple of good things on here. We'll start with, I'm going to turn this up. We'll start with the best thing I saw this week, which in honor of Vex being on the show, I made a golf thing because it was actually pretty cool. It was Billy Horschel here as this pulls up.
Oh yeah.
This isn't what I was expecting.
I did see this, yeah.
This was his third shot on a par 5, and he went lefty. And it was a heck of a shot.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
It's amazing how good all these guys are lefty. Like people say, they're just great athletes, but it's like they say that these guys. Does he make it?
Yeah,
wow.
He got up and down for a fucking birdie. Yeah.
I haven't even seen it.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I did not know this happened.
Crazy.
So let me tell you that being a serious golfer, I've had to take the left-handed shot multiple times.
Yeah.
It doesn't usually go well.
No.
It's hard as hell.
I was going to ask you if you could do that. I know you're really, really good.
I'm pretty ambidextrous, too.
And you're just a very, very good golfer.
Kind of. I mean, I'm a 3
No, you are.
handicap.
You're a fucking good
I'm like
golfer.
not bad at golf.
Yes.
It is hard to do.
Yeah.
Now, these guys with their names on their bag, like, they're out there fucking around at the range every single week.
Sure.
So they do practice a lot of weird scenarios.
Right.
I mean, they start messing around. They'll start hitting it off their knees. That's just what they do because they hit that many balls.
Right.
But the way Horschel swung that, like, it looked pretty good.
DJ left-handed too is like, I believe he thinks, and I thought someone was talking about that he playing left-handed is a scratch golfer.
What?
Like I've seen him hit balls. I forgot who. Maybe like the Barstool guys had him on or something. And he like outdrove him lefty, and then they're like, "How good do you think he would be?" Like, I'd be right around even par playing left-handed.
I didn't know that.
I think it was DJ. I think it was DJ. He was like that good that he's like, "Yeah, I could probably shoot." They're like, "What do you do?" He's like, I could probably shoot close to, depending on where it is, you could probably shoot close to even par.
Fuck that guy. I mean, it's so hard to get that good at golf.
Yeah, right?
And then to just be like, nah, I'll try it left-handed.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Fuck that.
Those guys.
We'll go to buzzer beater of the week here, and we all saw this last night. And so we got Colorado State, Maryland last night. This was the first buzzer beater of the tournament. We had not had one.
Nope.
And there's Neek Cleaford's parents right there. Maryland was down most of this game, came back, took the lead on 2 Julian Reese free throws.
Their son should be in prison for that elbow he threw.
He should have been in jail.
Straight to jail, as they say online. Straight to jail.
All right, so last possession, Colorado State. They're going to go to Neek Cleaford. I don't know what
is Maryland doing on defense?
What are they doing? They went
What
zone.
are you doing?
And they find Jalen Lake bangs a 3. Now, they were trying to call timeout, which the fact that they didn't get the timeout helped Maryland because they were push it up quick and call their own timeout. No press was set up. They really didn't add any time here. I thought, when Lake shot that, they said they thought Kevin Willard said he was like, that's in. I thought it was way off. It looked like it was way too high arcing. I thought he changed his shot because of the contest. But Maryland fans, in absolute disgust, their last 4 losses have all come on fucking buzzer beaters.
Yeah.
So they just like, here we go again in the tournament. But they decided in the huddle Willard asked who wants the ball, and Queen said, I want the motherfucking ball. Derek Queen, future Spur, let's listen to it.
Future Spur, I love it.
Season alive. Gillespie from the out of bounds to the freshman Queen who's driving, floats it.
That was awesome.
The degree of difficulty on that fucking shot, going against your body, heavily contested to kiss it off the glass.
I tried to tell my wife that last night. Like, you have no idea how hard that is.
Yes.
Right hand, right foot, moving left.
Yep.
Like, that is just ridiculously hard. Look, difficulty level for a game winner is like 9 out of 10.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe you could make one from, I don't know, double pump with the opposite hand.
Yeah.
But like, that's about as hard as a game winner gets.
Yes, but like, take away a half-court shot. I don't know if you have a tougher one there. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah, and half court is,
just a luck.
Kind of luck.
It's just luck, yeah.
Like, look, Queen's a stud.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, dyed-in-the-wool stud. That he called for the ball in the huddle. That he took the shot, a hard shot, and, like, it comes off clean. Bro. Clean. He knows it.
Yes, he does.
He absolutely knows it. I told you I hope the Spurs take this game.
Yeah, you did.
I'm all about Queen. I mean, he's a stud.
And by the way, all of you calling for travel, go fuck yourself.
Fuck that.
That's horrible. That's not a travel. And it's if you want to argue the technicalities of it, it's never getting fucking called ever. And they shouldn't fucking call it in the tournament. Incredible shot by Queen. And they said after the game, they asked him, where does that confidence come from? He's like, well, I'm from Baltimore.
Love that.
My man, I was like, that is like such a good answer right there.
Okay, so it seems like everybody over 50 thought that was a travel. You think there's a black guy in America that thinks that's a travel?
There's there's a couple.
Only white guys think that. And you got to be over 50. That's just not a travel. It's not a travel at high school level. It's not a travel.
I'll tell you this. Well, it's a travel.
No, it's
secondly,
not.
the white people that do believe that is a travel shoot a higher percentage from the free throw line. I can promise you that. Because they care about the fundamentals, Vex, okay?
Yes. Him and the women's game, right?
Yes.
The fundamentals of the women's game
fundamentals.
are so good.
Yeah.
If you love missing
Yes,
layups.
Dylan loves the women's game. I've been talking the women's game down for years.
All right, we got 3 Swan Dive nominees. Auburn taking on Alabama State. We're looking at the first half line here, and Alabama State is catching 9.5. Alabama State shooting 2 free throws here, down 1. Amar Knox is a 74% free throw shooter. This is a chance to put them ahead. Misses the first one, misses the second. Rebound Auburn.
That guy didn't think it was a travel when he's shooting free throws like that.
Catching 9.5 here. All right, and Auburn's going to go into Janai Broome. He's going to go up and get an and 1. All right, so now you're down 3. You're still catching 9.5, 1:13 to go. You're doing the math. You're fine. Free throw up for Broome. No, Alabama State has the rebound. Goes loose. Somehow going to find Miles Kelly in the corner, who's going to step back and bang the 3.
This is a bad one, dude.
So now it's 6, but still, mathematically here, all right, just don't go 2 for 1.
Right.
If you do go 2 for 1, a 3 is
You should be fine,
all right,
regardless.
So you're got the ball here, Alabama State. They're down by 6. They've been winning part of this game. Tyler Mack going to launch a 3, not close.
Oh, God.
All right, air ball, and there's 40 seconds to go. So Tahad Pettiford the other way for Auburn. Gonna find Chaney Johnson, who puts up the floater, no good, but Janai Broome there to clean it up. And now you're down by 8. But they have the last shot. Now Alabama State's actually gonna call fucking timeout here. Okay, so it's like you would think in the huddle, be like, all right, guys, one shot here, one shot. And for some reason, they decide out of this timeout that they're not gonna go for one shot because the guy who just airballed the last 3 is going to catch this ball in a second on the left wing. You can see him coming through off the staggered screen. He's going to catch this and decide, this is my...
Oh, my God.
Wait. He missed it, and they foul on the rebound. The problem is, the guy they fouled is from Nigeria. And the 7-footer is from Nigeria.
They don't shoot free throws.
They don't
Traditionally not great for the
UCONN, and it's a 1-and-1 here, and you know what's coming because, of course, UCONN is going to miss this front end. It's not close.
Oh, my God.
Rebound comes off to Kelly, and here comes to Hot
Still have to score to cover 9.5.
That's right. And
Yeah,
they're gonna
you know what's
Hot
coming.
Pettiford is going to throw up a running floater from the free throw line, and it's going to hit the rim.
offhand.
With his offhand, and it's going to hit the rim 9 times and go in. Alabama State, one last heave from half court, no good.
When he was driving the ball, they flashed a graphic, and Alabama State was 1 for 5 from the line in the first half.
Okay, that's
Yikes.
nominee number 1.
This is bad.
This is Clemson McNeese State. Okay, total on this is 135.5. The first half, there were 44 points scored in the first half. Clemson set an NCAA tournament record for the least amount of points scored in a single half of basketball.
Wow, yeah.
13 in the first half. They were down by 18. 44, you're at 135.5 under, all right? Late, we pick it up. It's 102 right now, and we get a putback, and the scoring's going to start here with Chase Hunter. He puts it up and in. We fast forward now. We're at 118 off the offensive rebound. 50 seconds to go. 135.5. We're at 118. Zachary from the right wing for 3, bang.
He didn't miss.
He really
in the last
didn't.
3 minutes.
They were on fire. All right, so now McNeese throwing this in deep, turns it over. Zachary with the steal. Clemson still alive here, down by 9. Zachary up the floor. Thought it might have been a travel. Instead, they swing it for a 3. Bang. All right, so now it's what? 126 here. All right, 25 seconds to go. Zachary, left wing 3. Bang. 129. Quadir Copeland to the free throw line. 19.9 seconds to go. Clemson's alive in this game now.
Doesn't he?
First one is short. All right, so you get a miss here. Second one for Copeland, up and in. All right, 130 now. You still got 5 points to spare. Clemson's got to work quickly. They get it to Chase Hunter. He's going to work it around. Hunter finds Wiggins on the left wing. This one is good from deep. They couldn't buy a 3 the whole game. In the last 3 minutes, they couldn't.
They were the worst basketball team I've ever seen for 37 minutes. In the last 3 minutes, they didn't miss a shot.
That's right. And now 3 points beats you. And Garcia to the free throw line. He's got the nice face mask on, and he knocks the first one, and he's an 80+% shooter. McNeese is celebrating. The game is over now, probably. Second one is no good. Okay, so you just need to stop here. You cannot have a bucket. A bucket kills you. Zachary pulls it.
Bang.
No, he missed it. Offensive rebound. Hunter is going to throw it at the buzzer.
For the win.
No good reason. No good reason.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, at the buzzer. It's up and in. They actually even went to review to make sure that he got this off for all those people who had the under.
Brutal,
and
man.
he did barely get this off. And they kind of defended it at the last second, pulled away. He scoops it up and in. There's no time left. Clemson's knocked out.
Brutal.
He celebrates. But if you have an under ticket, you throw it in the trash now.
It's a good reason to retire from that.
Now, this is the worst one I've seen this year. This is a nominee for an all-time bad beat.
But it's Florida, UConn, under 150.5. We're at 120 with 3 minutes to go. All right, 120, 31 points in 3 minutes.
What?
Right
Yes.
wing,
Yeah,
Walker,
no,
for
seriously,
3.
it's insane.
Bang.
Yeah.
All right, Florida up by 1. We're at 123 now. Steal on the next
Insane.
play. Will Richard going to put this home and slam it. Florida up 3. 2:30 to go. We're at 125. Still 26 points you need. 26 and 220.
And the crazy thing is it's a tight game, right? Like, they're not fouling right away, which is just crazy.
Next possession, they tie the game. Solo ball is going to bang 3. Now we're at 128.
When that one went in, I thought UConn might win this game. When that one went, I was like, they're going to find a way to win.
3 Florida free throws on the next possession. They get it back, and they're going to find their man again in Walter Clayton, who was an absolute fucking stud in this game with a difficult
That
step
is
back
crazy.
3. Bang. All right, so now we're
As
at
Mark
124.
Jackson says, Mama, there goes that man.
But you still need 17 in less than a minute. 17 in less than a minute. And UConn is going to miss the shot here, and they're going to get a rebound, and they're going to foul the worst free throw shooter on Florida, Alex Condon, who, by the way, was like 3 of 6 from the line today.
Dude, how does this get there?
Now,
This is
We still need
insane.
17 points, and he misses the first free throw.
This is hard to believe.
Yeah.
This is the second.
It doesn't even make
But
sense.
it's tipped to Elijah
yeah.
Martin, and he dunks it. And now we're
Still,
at 136.
15 points in 40 seconds.
15
Is
points in
there,
20 seconds. Golden's going nuts. Now, most teams launch a 3 here, but not UConn. They're playing the long game.
and they took
take
10
their time
fucking
here.
seconds
And
here.
they take a ton of time. McNeely going to drive in. He's going to scoop it up and in. We're at 138 now. 28 seconds to go. Now fast forward after the foul. They let 7 seconds go off the clock. Still at 128. First free throw, Martin. Good. Second free throw, Martin. Good. 140. You need 11 points. 18 seconds.
That's
17
impossible.
seconds. You need 11 points. 15 seconds. The clock's still running. They take a ton of time. McNeely up and in. All right, now it gets crazy. 11. So right here, 11 seconds to go. And you're at what? 142. You need 151. 9 points in 11.9 seconds. On this inbound, Walter Clayton, who's been phenomenal all game, turns it over, and they immediately foul Ian McNeely. And so now McNeely with 8.6 goes to the line.
You need 9 points in 9 seconds.
McNeely, first one, good. All right, 133 or 143. Second one, good. 144. All right. Now, Clayton to inbound here. This is where it gets real bad because they foul before the inbound. And the ref gets it right because they were trying to flop. And you can see right here, they grab a hold of Will Richard and fall down, but they catch him. And so now Richard goes to the free throw line. You need everything to go right for you, right? You can't have a miss at the free throw line. He's 83%. Clanks the first. How does this get there?
Oh, my
9.1
God.
to go. 9.1 to go. Will Richard makes the second. All right, Florida, you're up by 5. Just don't foul and no threes. They decide to press to slow him up even. That's even better for you. But they throw it in, and Walter Clayton makes another huge mistake. He fouls with 6.1 to go. So now you still need 6 points here, and there's under 10 seconds. And I don't know what Walter Clayton's doing. If he gets out of the way there, this goes under.
I'm retired, but I would have jumped. I would have swan dived for
This
this
is the
one.
worst
This
one.
is the one. This is the one.
McNeely McNeely doesn't miss a free throw the entire way. That one's good. We're at 126 now, 6.6 to go. Second one, good. 127. Of course, they're going to foul here. They get it in, and they foul right away with 5.9. And now you're doing the math here, and you're in trouble if he makes one of these. And he's an 80.6% free throw shooter. Thomas Howe to the free throw line.
Hell of a haircut from Thomas, too.
Yeah, got the,
I like that.
The Jim Carrey
Yes.
Dumb and Dumber one.
Yes.
First one is good. Second one is good. Now a bucket beats you. Any bucket beats you. And there's 5.9 to go, but UConn's been going for twos all day. You're just hoping they launch a deep three here. And here we go. They're going to push it up. They're going to find McNeely, and you get those deep three that you need. The problem is he fucking bangs. And that goes fucking over.
That is so bad. That's the worst one we've done by far. Yeah.
It's the worst I've ever seen.
And I didn't even realize it was that bad because I had texted Dylan. I go, you might want to check how bad that one was because I just remember watching the last 4 minutes and being like, I think they scored like 50 points the last 4 minutes. And then the last three went in and I looked at the total and was like, oh, it's 151. And I was like, oh, man, that is bad.
Torn tickets.
Yeah.
I was fixing to bet the live line watching you do the replay.
Yeah.
I was like, 10,000 plus 10,000. I'll take it.
I'll take it.
Way. Like,
I've never seen one like that.
I mean, it really should be impossible.
It really should be.
There have to be like several, like you would think there would have to be like a technical on, Hurley, which could happen, and like dead ball fouls, like dead ball technicals, and there wasn't any of that, which is just crazy.
I'm glad you brought up Hurley.
Yeah.
So he went down complaining in that game that his team had been screwed.
Crazy.
Screaming in the hallways on his way to the locker room, don't let them fuck you like they fucked us, Baylor. Now, I watched that game. I didn't have a major rooting interest. I just wanted to see a great game.
Right.
I did not see that UConn got screwed. And why would UConn get screwed?
Right.
Two-time national champion.
Yeah.
They're going to get screwed. I don't. Dan Hurley's a little crazy.
He's a lunatic, and this feels like every time they lose, it's something. It's always something, and it's like we were talking about a little bit before the show. It's like just take the loss, bro. You won 13 tournament games in a row, 2 national titles. Everybody sees you as one of the best coaches in college basketball, but people don't like you because of this. Like people are tired of this over and over and over.
Yeah.
Like, you lost the game to a team who was better than you. They outplayed you down the stretch. Plain and simple. There's no other explanation for it.
Florida was awfully good down the stretch of that game.
Yeah.
Clayton.
The clutchest Walter that we've had since Walter Payton. Is there a better Walter?
I can't think of a better Walter.
We make a lot of Walters.
No.
Anymore, are we?
No.
I don't know many Walters. I was about to say, I'm just trying to think of other ones. Walter White.
Right. I mean,
He cooked some serious meth, Walter White.
No, that's like a 1970s name. I don't think there's a lot. That is an
he's the
interesting
best
name.
basketball playing Walter that I can remember
Right.
since Walter Berry.
Yeah.
In the 80s.
And I think Dylan's right. I mean, I think Florida, obviously, big scare there. Could have lost the game. I'm sitting there watching. I was like, I think Florida's going to fucking lose this game.
Every other
somehow.
team would have lost that game.
If it wasn't for Clayton making those shots, they do lose.
But that's the thing. They have so many guys who can step
Correct.
up.
The one thing I will say, just from an outsider looking in, and I don't know near as much about basketball as you two, but you look at the box score of that game, UConn shot 27% from 3, and Florida shot 12 more free throws than them, and Florida only won the game by 2. So it's like that's a real. I mean, and I thought Florida was with Duke far and away. Those two teams are better, head and shoulders better than everybody else.
12 turnovers to 6, and then they missed 12 free throws.
Yeah,
Those were the two reasons. Couldn't make a free throw.
They shot 12 more, I think it said, and then UConn
was 19 to 22 from the line. Florida was 22 of 34.
What was UConn from 3?
UConn was 8 of 29, and Florida was 9 of 19.
The fact that they were in that game 8 of 29 from 3 is somewhat alarming. But
I would
they
agree.
found a way to win the game. So
UConn's plan to take the air out of the ball, slow the game down, I think is your best chance to beat Florida.
Yes.
But you can't give up 30-odd points in the last 3 minutes of the ball game.
It's literally.
So, okay, let me ask you this. As we're in the Sweet 16,
right.
I have 12 of the 16 teams remaining.
Yep.
I feel really good about that. But I will tell you that if I could redo my bracket right now, my official bracket that I turned in, the one that counts, all as Tennessee winning it all. And I love Tennessee, still love Tennessee. But if I could redo it right now, you know who I'd take? Auburn.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think they've peaked. I don't think they've peaked.
Interesting.
Well, they haven't been playing great, like you said. I mean, they're finding ways to win games, not playing very good. They haven't looked great.
I think they have another level to go to, and that scares me. I would not take Tennessee again. I would probably go Auburn, Duke, Florida, Tennessee in that order if I had it to do over again.
Okay. If I had to do over again, I would probably go, weirdly enough, from what I saw, I still think Florida has a very good shot to win it, but I would probably go, and this is probably chalky, but Duke's going to be really fucking hard to beat. I would go Duke, Florida, Auburn, Tennessee. That's the order I would go.
Here's what I'm thinking about Florida.
You could flip Florida and Duke for me.
And I think it's going to happen against Maryland. I said it at the beginning of the tournament. I don't think their bigs are physical enough to play against badass bigs.
That's a good point.
Duke has 2 of them, obviously. Maryland has 2 of them. And Maryland might be that team that people forget about. Oh, yeah, their front line is like some real MFers.
Yeah, they're really fucking good.
Queen, we already talked about. But Angel Reese's little brother is
Julian Reese, yeah.
He's
that's Angel Reese's little brother?
Yes.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, that's Angel Reese's little brother.
That, but he's damn good.
He's damn good.
Oh, so he doesn't miss layups like Angel?
Oh, no, he smokes a lot of layups. Which
it runs in the family.
It does, yes. Like, he does some real boneheaded shit. And it's like, who coached y'all?
Yeah.
I think that Florida's front line might have a problem if they run up against a really physical front line. I know it's not in the same side of the bracket, but like, you know, you watch that Arkansas St. John's game that seemed like it was, okay, that might not have been the closest game we watched this weekend, but for me, it was the most entertaining.
Yeah.
Because no, they couldn't shoot for shit. I don't know if there were 15 shots made outside the paint that whole game by both teams combined.
It was so bad.
It was awful.
It was so bad.
It was played collectively like this high above the rim.
Yes.
It was like all at the top of the box.
Which is why St. John's lost, because Arkansas's bigs were so athletic.
Correct.
And they could not finish. How many layups did we see St. John's miss in that game? I mean, it was 20 plus.
They were like 20 plus layups.
Because everything was above the rim, like you said.
So I wonder if Florida can handle a game like that.
I agree with what you're saying, because you got Queen, who we know is from Baltimore.
Yes, now we know.
We have Condon from Perth, Australia. And it's like, we'll see how this holds up, and depending on how the officiating goes in the game. And I told Dylan this, and I still think, I was like, if officials let St. John's just play, and it was like games officiated 10 years ago in college basketball where you could use your hands or whatever. I'm like, St. John's isn't going to lose, but against Arkansas. And obviously, Arkansas is a physical team, too. But it's like, Kadiri
Richmond fouled out with
8
7
minutes
to
left.
go.
And it's like, and then Wilshire had 4 fouls with like 10 minutes to go in the second half. He played. None of those guys played in the first half.
It's a very strangely refereed game.
Yeah.
Because it was uber physical.
Yeah.
It was uber fast. It was played, like I said, this high above the rim.
Yeah.
And for some reason, St. John's really got the brunt of the bad call.
Yes, they did.
I thought so, too. I mean, I didn't have a dog in the fight, but it was like, well, I had St. John's winning the game, but it was just like, to me, I just thought that the ticky-tack fouls all went against St. John's.
You would see a real physical play at the rim not get called when St. John's would drive in, and then you would see a touch foul on the other end. That was what was frustrating. There was no consistency. If we're going to call touch fouls, then the foul at the rim where there was a bunch of contact has to be called. So there was that was my problem with it, because that hurt St. John's, because they get out and put hands on you, and they're calling that. But then they're attacking the rim at will and not getting to the line.
That is something that you're seeing across the regions, is that the more physical teams seem to be winning.
That's a good point.
You need a chin strap now to play NCAA basketball. Right. It's wild out there. And there's some teams that have made the Sweet 16 that I don't think have come up against that level of physicality just because of their draw, didn't have it. I'm looking at you, BYU.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you.
Well, VCU's a physical team, but they didn't let them guard. I mean, it was the way the game was officiated.
And I don't know that they're big enough.
Right?
Yeah. Like Duke is damn well big enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
They have big dudes who are physical. They're going to guard you all over. I think Duke's going to absolutely destroy BYU. And a lot of people think they have a chance. Wait a minute. I have the bracket wrong. They play Arizona.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Duke, Arizona.
Sorry.
BYU has who? Alabama, right?
Oh,
well, same thing.
Talk about physical.
Dear Lord.
Christ. I don't want to play Alabama.
Their bigs are crazy athletic, and their guards put hands on you the whole time. They're aggressive, over aggressive.
I don't like BYU's chances.
I just think that once again,
I don't like them either.
Once again, in my opinion, being somewhat neutral in this and not knowing near as much as you guys, that game all is going to be. If that game's officiated like an SEC conference game, Alabama will kill them.
Yeah.
If it's not, BYU can easily win the game.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
It's really
that simple, and I think that's the issue with college basketball in a sense is we don't know what we're going to get from the officials. We don't know how it's going to be officiated. If I had it my way, every game would be officiated like an SEC game. You go there, use your hands, you can play. Yeah. But you may get officials from the ACC coming in to do that one, which we probably will. It's an SEC Big 12 game, so you probably get ACC officials, whatever.
I could be wrong, but I want to say that they don't even do conference crews in college basketball. So how does it work? Because I'll see them across conferences. Okay, it's so just they have 3-man crews that stick together and they go across. But your point is still valid. It's the same thing as the sense that you have one crew that may call it one way, and that next crew calls it a completely different way.
Right.
And you have no idea who you're getting. And you just have. Lamar Simpson is the worst official in college basketball. He was reffing the round of 32. He is literally rated the worst official in college basketball over the last 5 years, and he was reffing the round of 32. So you're not even getting the best officials at this point. You're getting the most seasoned officials who have earned their way to be there, but through tenure, right? So we don't know what we're getting. There's no consistency. That is the frustrating part of this. That said, I will give the officials this, and I fucking hate officials more than anybody. They're the spawn of Satan. I fucking hate officials.
People too.
They ruin lives, ruin games. I want to go to AI officiating, all right? But I will say this, in this tournament, I cannot tell you, usually there's a call or two or multiple calls that decide games where I'm like, what the fuck? The officiating hasn't been great, but I can't tell you a call that's decided a game yet. I can't tell you one call where it's like a couple years ago, we had Creighton, San Diego State in the Elite Eight, where the guy calls a foul with 1 second to go on a non-contact floater and determines a Final Four team. It's like, we don't have that at least. We don't have officials in the Memphis FAU in the first round the other year where Memphis calls timeout and they say, no, it's a jump ball, and then FAU scores and wins and they end up going to the Final Four. That determines tournaments. I haven't seen that this year. I'll give them that.
The only counterpoint to that is, I think you're exactly right, but there haven't been very many close games.
No, there haven't been,
for the officials to fuck up,
sure.
right?
Let's talk about that real quick.
Okay, yeah. When
I was in here recently, I told you, as you're selecting your bracket, remember, NIL has changed everything.
Yep.
The cream has risen to the top, right? If you were a really good player at a mid-major school, some bigger conference, bigger school gave you a good offer.
Right.
I mean, look at Auburn's entire roster, right?
Texas Tech, Auburn.
It's all of them.
Yeah.
Alabama, everybody. They're bringing in great Division II and mid-major Division I players, and that has weakened the mid-major chance of beating the high majors currently in the NCAA tournament. Now, am I complaining about it? No. We haven't had a lot of buzzer beaters, but I think there've been a lot of really good games.
Yes, there have. Especially, and I think this happens. There were 0 13 seeds or above in the second round. I believe we had 2 12 seeds, 1 11, which was Drake, and 2 10s. That was the only double-digit seeds to advance. That said, normally what I feel like happens in the tournament, at least past 10 years, the first round games, there tend to be big upsets, and there's really close games where a team who shouldn't win does. And then they come back down to earth in the second round. A lot of those teams get fucking smacked, and it's bad. It's not enjoyable. The opposite happened, I feel like. There was more blowouts and better teams winning in the first round, but the result was the second round, we got better matchups, and the games were much, much better. Yesterday's games were fucking phenomenal.
Yeah,
all of them.
Sunday was awesome.
All of them. I mean, I'm just thinking about the, like yesterday, okay, we had what? We had the only blowout really was Duke Baylor. Michigan State was down at halftime to New Mexico, came back and won. That was a good game. Oregon, Arizona down to the wire. Buzzer beater in Maryland. Florida and UConn was not supposed to be a good game. That came down to the last fucking minute. Every single game yesterday was a good game. I mean, even the day before, we had Texas Tech and Drake was one of the bigger margins. That was close most of the way till the end. It was. So it's like that. The games, in my opinion, are going to get. And I thought about this watching the first round because Turner was like, "Man, I hope the game's day 2." Because day 1, it was like, "Man, there was no close games. Hope the games day 2 are closer." And I was thinking they might not be, but it feels like if they're not, and the big top seeds keep winning, which is the point you made, as the tournament goes on, they're going to get better and better because we're going to look at the matchups we have now in the second round. It's awesome. It's the best teams. Ideally, that's kind of what you want to see when you get there. It's not as fun when you don't see a St. Peter's, but then you don't get the St. Peter's Elite Eight game where they lose by 40 and you're like, what the fuck am I watching? This is we're going to get good Elite Eight matchups in this tournament.
Yeah. So as I look through the last 16, there's one of these teams that's not like the other to me, and that's BYU. And I've watched so much of that team all year. They have no physicality.
Yeah.
Typically, they play no damn defense. They score the ball really well, and they jack a ton of threes. But it's like they're the only weak unit that I see in the entire 16.
Yeah.
Like Arkansas, yeah, they had a bad start to their SEC season. And at times this year, they've struggled to score. But does anybody want to play Arkansas? I don't think so.
No,
don't.
And apparently they may get their leading scorer back because he
He's
really good. He was
good.
questionable to play in that game against St. John's, and Cal was trying to talk him into it. And they're like, he's still not quite ready, but they think he's going to play.
Turner, he's a lottery pick. That kid's really good.
So if Arkansas gets him this weekend, and then it's like, okay.
I'd love to see him play and McMillan play for Tech. That would be a really high level game.
That's the biggest difference. And I'm glad you took us here because like it's all about Texas Tech for me.
Yeah.
Look, the college I went to, George Washington University, used to have a great and proud basketball program when I was there.
Are they the Governors or Colonials?
Used to be Colonials, and now we're the Revolutionaries.
Okay.
And I swear I didn't even know that until a week ago.
There you go.
They did not send the alumni a memo.
Yeah.
Okay, it was a lame nickname as the Colonials.
Yeah.
It's even lamer as the Revolutionaries.
Yeah, I think Colonials is better.
So I mean, we were really good back in the day, and we were one of the first, if not the first, teams to start bringing in Eastern European players under Mike Jarvis, and then later under Tom Penders. That was like. Those are big college coaching
Penders
names.
is a fucking legend, man.
Yeah. I mean, and Mike Jarvis is a goddamn legend.
Yes, he is.
I mean, he's the guy who got Patrick Ewing to play basketball, for God's sakes. I mean, those are two legends. And we had them at GW.
I do remember George Washington being good for a time period.
We were. I don't think we ever won a tournament game, but we were pretty good. But because they're no good anymore, I've had to adopt. I've adopted Texas Tech.
I'm a Texas Tech dropout, so welcome to the. And half of us are.
Like most of my buddies, you're a Texas Tech, and they all root for the Red Raiders. So like guns up, and look, I adopted them probably a decade or two ago, and I love watching this team go.
Yeah.
I probably watched more of them than any other team in the tournament. If McMillan is back, there is no reason they can't go to the Final Four.
No, they could beat anybody with Toppin, McMillan.
They will be better on the floor, more talent than Arkansas. And they have the active big guys to play against that Arkansas front line that's so damn athletic. Yep. I mean, Toppin plays above the rim. Williams, while not above the rim, has the brute force.
Yeah, he's strong.
Yeah, to hold his position.
And of course, Federico, you bring in the real muscle.
He's going to play. Federico squared is going to have to play. I love Tech's chances if McMillan gets back.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, I'm worried about it. Okay, I'll just say I'm worried about it.
Yeah, I think for me, and I agree, they're a different team with McMillan. We saw it in the Big 12. They went into Houston. They're the only team to beat Houston in the regular season. They went into Houston and won the game when they were healthy. They played Houston 2 times after that without McMillan and got beat both times. So they need him. He is key because they don't have, they can lack. This sounds weird to say, but they can lack guard scoring at some points. And without him, with him in the game, he spreads the floor. He can shoot it. He can attack. He's very, very talented. They need him to play, in my opinion. I'm not saying they can't beat Arkansas without him. They can, but it's much more difficult. I think they will beat them if he plays.
I do too.
If he doesn't, it's more of a coin flip to me. And they definitely need him to beat Florida in the next round or Maryland. And it sucks because I swear to you, Florida has been my favorite team all year. Maryland and Tech were my 2 dark horses to make the Final Four, and they all fucking ended up in the same region.
Every year it seems like that happens,
fucking
right?
Sucks,
they put all of your favorite teams in the same quarter of the bracket. McMillan spaces the floor so well for them. I know that in round 1, and that's an interesting thing about how Tech has gotten here. They won their first round game shooting the 3 ball. They won their second round game just pounding it inside.
Right.
Yep.
And that's the great thing about this Tech team is you really don't know which version of them you're going to get. They can hurt you either way. but McMillan is their biggest outside threat. It's not Walton, who had like the game of his life in round one. He's not really a shooter, so to speak.
Right.
McMillan is.
Yeah.
If he's left, I mean, he's like watching Clayton shoot the ball.
No, he really is. I think he's a 40+% three-point shooter.
When
He's
he lets it
phenomenal.
go, it looks like it's going in every time.
Yeah, it
How
does.
long has he been out now?
I think he might have come. Didn't he come back for a game or
He
two
did.
or
He
something?
played
I
in
feel
the
like.
tournament.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
and
just
then
hope
he-
it's not one of those full, because you know how college is. You don't have to really report anything. So
Right.
it's like, oh, he might be playing. I hope it's not one of those deals where it's like he's absolutely done. And
He
because I
played in the
figured-
tournament. He played in the Big 12 tournament against Baylor.
Isn't it like a middle body injury
Yeah,
too?
yes,
Ab
it is. It's
injury or
weird. I don't know
something.
what it
Kinda
is.
strange.
Yeah.
So,
It is weird.
Look, I'm rooting like hell for Tech. My Texas roots come up here. I mean, I want Houston to go deep. I have, plenty of love. I want to see Texas basketball on display, and
Yeah.
I love seeing it.
My goodness, he literally is almost a 50-40-90 guy in college. He's 52% from the 52.5 from the field, 43.4 from 3, and 88.2 from the free throw line. I mean, that's unfucking real in college. That's crazy.
Where did he come over from?
I forget where he
Can't
came.
remember.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah,
He was
and
at.
the reason I know that
he was at Grand Canyon for 3 seasons.
Okay.
And then went to Tech last year, and he's been there for 2 years.
Right.
Yeah, but he's been phenomenal.
That Grand Canyon team that made a run.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
so,
they've been.
okay.
Yeah, that Grand Canyon team has been good for a minute. They've been in the tournament 3 or 4 of the last 5 years.
If I'm looking across the Sweet 16 games and I'm like, man, I don't like that matchup for you guys at all, it's Purdue against Houston.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
They're going to get that. I actually think they're very more similar to BYU than the other teams. They're the one who's like, I could see you putting in the BYU class. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not physical.
Nope.
They shoot the ball pretty well, but like Houston guards like MFers.
They can't handle that.
I don't think they can.
No, I've been down on Purdue. I had Purdue losing to High Point in the first round. Now, I will say, High Point's best player got hurt in the first fucking 5 minutes of that game. So that did not help them.
That did not help.
That didn't help them. I don't think they would have won. Purdue played well, and then Purdue caught a break in to play McNeese in the second round. I do not know if they get through Clemson if Clemson's playing a good game. That said, I completely agree. Purdue, to me, all year has been fraudulent. Their interior defense is horrific. I'm telling I watched them and because I've bet on them a couple times and I'm like, oh my God, they can't stop anyone in the paint. And that's all Houston does is pound it in the paint. Now Houston shoots it at which is crazy at 40% from 3, but they don't take a lot. It's like Cryer will take a few
Sharp.
Sharp will take a few iffy ones. For the most part, unless they're open, they're going to the rim. And like in the game they just played, it was Juwan Roberts at the rim, Francis at the rim. I think Juwan Roberts took 19 shots in that game. They were just like, we are going to the basket because that's what we fucking do. And then Cryer got it sprayed out. I have a feeling they're going to beat the living shit out of Purdue. That's
totally
what I think.
agree.
How many is Houston favored by?
I believe it was 8.5 or 7.5. It's one of the bigger spreads in the second round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
Duke has a big spread over Arizona.
yes. Let's talk about that matchup. So let's go through some of these. What do you think about Duke? Does Arizona? You had mentioned it. You thought Duke was going to kill them, right?
I think Duke's going to kill them.
I do too. I don't think I don't think it's going to be close.
I don't know how Arizona holds in that game.
No.
Duke's
Should've
front
lost last
line is
night.
too big, too athletic. They should have lost last night. And I would expect John Shire to have a decent defensive plan to
Yes.
shut down Love.
Yeah, and like we were talking about this last night, like Caleb Love is a guy who is, what does he shoot from 3? He's up to 33% this year, but for a large portion, it's 30%, 31%, 29%. He's very, very streaky. Can he get hot? Yes, he was hot last night. I just have a feeling that the odds of Caleb Love doing that back-to-back games are just very low statistically over the course of his career. He has a good game. He has a shitty game the next one. He had, 20 points last night, right?
He's like collegiate Paul George.
Yeah, really, that's a good comparison.
Is that what
right
he
there.
is?
That's
Like,
a good
that's a
comparison.
good one.
When he's good, he looks good.
He looks real good.
First of all, refer to Paul George by his real name, Playoff P. Dude.
That's right. That's right.
Self-proclaimed.
nickname.
I mean, shit, you look at Oregon was
Playoff
12
P.
of 22 from the free throw line last night.
Yeah.
If they shoot 60%, they win the game. I
Sure
mean,
enough.
they should have won the game. To my and your chagrin, they did not. But
Yes.
But, Oregon to me didn't look great and still found a way to have a shot to tie the game with 10 seconds to go or 20 seconds to go. So I just think there's no way. Duke has looked, like I said, I think Duke's the best team remaining. I think them in Florida or them in Auburn or them in Tennessee in the Final Four would all be phenomenal matchups. And I don't think it's a sure thing that Duke beats any of those teams. But just from what I've seen, there is so much depth there. They have so many talented guys. Knipple is an awesome. I mean, I don't know. I don't think Duke has a problem there, and I really don't think they have a problem against Alabama if Alabama takes care of BYU.
They have the weakest region for this weekend.
I agree with that.
The Arizona and then possible BYU or Bama, like that's really good for Duke.
Yeah,
like whereas the flip side of that is the West, where it's Florida, Maryland, Tech, Arkansas.
Yes.
And it's like, man, I mean, Florida getting through Maryland, not easy.
Right.
And then the next round to have Arkansas or Tech waiting, like that's brutality. I like Auburn's slot. Like Michigan State has not looked great.
No, they haven't.
They look good in the Big Ten tournament, and they haven't since. Mississippi can guard, but like, can they put up enough points? I don't know. And Michigan is playing out of their heads, but like this is not the Michigan team that we've watched all season.
No.
And I expect them to come back down to earth against Auburn.
That's what I was when we were watching them against A&M, and A&M was up like 10. I was like, well, Michigan finally, revealed themselves.
Yeah,
so
it's the real Michigan.
And then next thing you know, they just started making.
Well, A&M just stopped fucking guarding all of a sudden. I don't know what is going on.
Weird game.
Wade Taylor played horrible. I mean, it was a weird game. Yeah, but no, I agree with you. I think Auburn takes care of Michigan relatively easily, in my opinion. And the interesting one to me is Michigan State Ole Miss. I have
no idea who wins.
I have no idea because Ole Miss has really take away. They were up 21 on North Carolina, who was hot. And North Carolina came all the way back in the last few minutes of the game. But the most part, for 80-90% of that game, Ole Miss dominated the game. They were the far superior team. They come in, they play Iowa State. I know Iowa State had Keyshawn Gilbert out. Still, one of the better teams in the Big 12. Absolutely dominated them from the tip. Was not ever close. And Iowa State's defense bothered them zero. They were scoring at will. Purdue was playing the best basketball of his life, hands down. Jalen Brakefield off the bench has been awesome. He had 16 last night. I don't know. I'm a little bit worried, and I have Michigan State in the Final Four. Like you said, they have been unimpressive to me. They've shot the ball really poorly. They were down to New Mexico most of that game. Yeah. They were losing to Bryant for a large part of the first half in that first round. They look like a team that is very beatable. One of those teams where it's like, okay, they've gotten through these first two rounds because they were better than the two teams they played. They played poorly and got through it because they were better and they play hard. I don't know that that's enough if Ole Miss plays good. Yeah, I actually kind of have a feeling Ole Miss is going to win that game. I hope I'm wrong. I'm rooting for Michigan State. I need them to go to the Final Four, or I can't win the bracket challenge. But my opinion, I think that's the most interesting matchup, at least on this side. Well, I guess it's not on that region versus the Auburn.
What's the line
Michigan
on that? Michigan State by 3 or something?
3.5, I believe. Yeah.
Does the fact that Chris Beard is taking over the University of Texas basketball program again? Oh no, he didn't get hired to do that, did he? Why didn't they think of that?
I said the same thing. I knew they wouldn't do it because they're and look, I'm not going to get political here, but they are very, very liberal. It's Austin.
Yeah.
And I'm not either way. I'm independent, but to me, he was never convicted. They dropped the charges. They prematurely fired him, and he's a premier college basketball coach.
He's one of the best handful of coaches in college basketball over the last decade.
He really is, and I really believe that they would have won a national title had he stayed there. At least one.
I think so, too.
I just wish Texas Tech was dog shit so they could have hired him back.
No kidding.
Right time.
No kidding.
Bring Chris Beard back
But McCaslin might be just as good or better. No. He's fucking awesome.
He's a great coach, too. Yeah. That's what I'm saying, but I do wish he still had Chris
They got a hell of a system up there in Lubbock. I mean, give him a lot of credit. But, Texas, couldn't have made a mistake if they had hired back either one of their former coaches who are still in this tournament. Rick Barnes would be a great hire.
Awesome hire.
We'd be a great hire.
Awesome.
And they can't do it.
Nope.
It'd be a retread, right?
Yep.
So they go with Sean Miller. I don't even know what to think of that. I mean, has Sean proven himself to be a great head coach? Or is it all because he and his brother come from this lineage? What is Sean Miller's resume that makes you go, oh man, that dude can coach?
Yeah.
When has he taken a crappy team of transfers and non-top 100 recruits and really had success? I don't know. I don't remember ever seeing it.
The only season I believe he ever even went. Oh no, sorry. They went to he's never been to a Final Four.
Yeah.
Never. And he was at Arizona for how many years? 11?
11 years?
11 years? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Didn't seem that long.
That's brutal, yeah.
12 years. He was there for 12 fucking years, not one. They went to the Elite Eight a couple times, but they were always a 1 seed or a 2 seed and expected to make a run and never fucking went to the championship. And it's like you said, it was the opposite. It was like, instead of somebody who takes not a lot of talent and does more with it, it felt like he had a ton of talent and did less with it every single year. That's my problem with him. Yeah. Is he a better hire than Rodney Terry? Is that an improvement? Sure. Fucking I would have been an improvement from Rodney Terry. I mean, he is fucking awful. He's the worst Division I basketball coach I've ever fucking seen. He's horrible, atrocious, just awful. And I get it. I understand it's a big name. Like, I just think this feels rushed. I get firing Terry that quickly. I wanted him out. Too. I get it, but why do you have, I guess maybe the portal, they want to do it quickly. I just don't understand. I don't know why it felt quick. It felt quick triggered.
Especially if it's a guy from out of state.
Right.
Like, I mean, I do understand if you've got the hot coach in your state
right.
who has the recruiting connections, like, and you just know, like, this guy can call up every single school and he can get me grade A talent. That's not Sean Miller.
No.
Like, what's his connection to Texas?
Exactly. He's been to Xavier and Arizona. Those are the only two places he's been as head coach.
I would have hired Iowa State's coach.
That's the guy I
would have paid him. I'd like Otzberger, whatever the fuck his name is.
Otzberger. I think he's better than Sean Miller. I haven't liked as much the end of this year, but they've had so many injuries, it's hard to gauge. And he only makes $2.5 million at Iowa State right now. They easily could have given him double that.
I think
Iowa
that's
State
a much
can't really
better
afford
hire.
him. I do too. I would have rather had him.
Miller.
Do I love Otzberger? No. I like him better than Sean Miller. I think he's probably one of the better guys out there. I have a feeling he's probably going to get scooped up by somebody else pretty soon, unless he just really likes Iowa State.
So does Sean Miller work at Texas? Yes or no?
I think he'll make a lot of Sweet 16s and nothing else.
I'm sort of with you on that.
16 guy.
Like, he's going to get you all that top 100 McDonald's All-American talent because
get some guys,
he did it at Arizona. Texas attracts him every year. And he probably won't win with them. That would be my guess, which is a shame because, man, Longhorns need a national championship.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
They really do.
They have too much money, too many resources, too good of facilities to not be a national title Final Four consistent contender. Like, if Auburn is getting this, is able to do it. If I know Tennessee hasn't been to the Final Four, but they're in that conversation every year. Mm-hmm. If these SEC teams who haven't had a rich basketball tradition where they're winning, you're Texas and you can't, I don't get it. Yeah, with all that money, I really don't understand.
I mean, there's been one banner hung by a Texas team in the history of college basketball.
It's crazy.
It's Baylor. Like, that's it.
That's
Texas
actually
Wesleyan.
Okay, correct.
Show some fucking respect. My God, the UTEP Miners, aka Texas Wesleyan.
Okay,
correct.
Back a million years.
That wasn't 100 years ago. Yes. Okay.
Since segregation.
Yes. Since things have changed dramatically.
I mean, it's surprising. And, you know, who's got the whole shot on that? Is it, I'd say it's Houston or it's Tech.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's Texas.
It's not Texas.
I would like to say biggest mistake. Wait, has West Virginia hired anybody yet?
I don't know if they hired anybody.
Well,
did they?
Huggy Bear needs to come back. Bob Huggins needs a job. If I was Texas, I would have hired Bob Huggins. I get it's a bad hire. I don't care. I love Huggins.
I love Huggins.
Huggy Bear's a man. People, they play hard for him. West Virginia needs to do the right thing and bring Huggy Bear home. I think he still lives up there. That's who they need. Bob Huggins.
I don't hate it. I mean,
why not?
I don't hate it. He's a fucking awesome, fun guy to watch. I mean, he's a hard ass coach.
And I met a guy in Vegas.
He ever coaches again.
Yeah, and I met a guy in Vegas that went to West Virginia and said that Bob Huggins used to go to all the football games and they didn't have like much sweet, the sweet situation at in Morgantown went great. And he said that he would sit and there would be like a beer line of like 30 people deep, and Bob Huggins would just walk to the front of the line and order 2 beers. You could only order 2, and then buy beers for anybody in line who wanted them and walk back to the suites.
Nice.
That's a real man right there, Bob Huggins.
Want to touch on one more coach, or a couple more coaches. We had, I just saw this, Ben McCullum from Drake after 1 year goes to Iowa.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that happened.
I didn't either till I just saw that. That's incredible that you go from a Division II to Drake to Iowa in 2 years. Wow. Crazy. That's the beauty. I was talking about this when I used to coach. One of my buddies who was the women's coach at Smithson Valley was like, it's the only sport and the only job in America really where one legitimate weekend can change your entire fucking life. Like, one win. You think about Chris Beard at Arkansas Little Rock. They upset Purdue, and he gets the Tech job, and then eventually gets the Texas job. Like, changed his life. One win, one shot that they won the game on changes his life. You have Ben McCullum, one season, one win at Drake in the tournament. He gets the Iowa job. Like, it's crazy. I think that's a great hire. The other one I wanted to hear y'all's take on is Darren DeVries, who was the coach at Drake before Ben McCullum, takes the West Virginia job last year. He then brings his son with him. I forget what's his son's name. You know, I blank on his name.
Junior.
Tucker,
Junior.
Tucker,
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, he gets injured at the beginning of the year and decides it's an injury that he could play with, but decides to have season-ending surgery. Takes the red shirt. And then it basically comes out, he got hired by Indiana, leaves West Virginia after 1 year. Basically comes out that West Virginia, or that Indiana had been talking to him to take him all year. Oh. And it seems very, very interesting that DeVries' son sat out the year so that he can now have his last year of eligibility and go with him. He's already transferred to Indiana. That's a problem to me, that we're having coaches talking to other schools in the middle of the fucking season and leaving. And it's the same, but it's hard to blame him when it's like all of his kids are probably going to leave anyway. Like, what you have this, and I know it's the same old story that the same problem we've been talking about for 2 years now with this NIL deal. And I like the quality of basketball, and I like that the good teams are playing deep in March. I can't stand, and it's got to be something done in the next couple years. There's got to be some sort of contract for the players, and I almost think there should be some sort of contract for the coaches. Like the buyouts are just not enough because donors just put up the money and they buy them out and they move. They don't care, especially the smaller schools. Like,
I think it could be solved like pretty simply, Dylan, if you just said you can't move back-to-back years.
Love that.
Player or coach.
Yes.
You just can't move back-to-back years.
Yes.
You have to stay 2 years.
That wouldn't affect as many coaches as it does players, but it accomplishes the same, the thing we're trying to change, which is like, wait, that kid's where now?
Right.
Like Jeremy Roach, you're where?
Yeah. What? What do you, like, how? He's playing against his former team. He played 4 years at Duke, and he's playing against him in the NCAA tournament. What are we doing? What are we doing? I mean, you see it in college football. Like, you know, it's the inter-conference transfers even. Like, you have a kid play Trevor Etienne, the running back for Florida, goes to Florida 1 good year. Georgia pays him more money, and he goes to Georgia because they're better. I mean, it's like, it's just not, that part I can't stand. I really can't, and I hope we get contracts. I feel like donors, with the way the money is exponentially growing for these players, you know, it's been noted that Alabama offered Arch Manning $11.5 million for 1 season. I wonder if these donors are going to get tired of dumping that level of money for guys to just dart off after 1 year for more money or to a better school or to a better program. And I wonder if that's the only way it changes, because it feels like whoever controls the money controls what we're doing. I mean, I don't know. I'm glad players getting paid. I'm not against that. I'm not against players getting paid. I just want some sort of system to prevent, like you said, the 2-year deal would be awesome. If you go to the NBA, that's fine. Yeah. But if you're in college and you're staying 2 years, you can't leave after 1 year. It's too frustrating to watch.
Yeah, it is. And there's just too much transition if you're somebody who tries to follow the sport and cares about your school. It's just too frustrating. And I imagine for these coaches, I mean, re-recruiting every year. The guy you recruited last year has just got to be a total headache.
Right.
I mean, just a little bit of commitment is all you need. A 2-year deal, that's it.
Yep. Like we said, we're seeing like Jim Larinaga left middle of the year. Tony Bennett left before the start of 2 weeks before the start of the season, because they're like, I can't do this anymore. I can't. This is not what I got into coaching for. Is to you see how much money the next guy wants to stay. Larинaga's like, we went to the Final Four and half my fucking team left. What
So Malcolm Gladwell, do y'all read Gladwell books and listen?
I read a couple in school at some point.
You know, one of our
Link or one of the
one of our great thought leaders on this planet. Says the problem with the American political system, this is not a political statement, it is a statement about United States politics, is that our system is built not to get us the people who are best at being politicians, but the people who are best at winning elections. And that is an inherent problem, right? They're not necessarily great at governing. They're really great at winning elections, right? that's kind of the problem that you're having with coaches in the NIL, right?
That's a good point.
It's really not about how good you are at X's and O's in the ball game.
Not at all.
It's like how good are you in the transfer portal?
Right.
How good are you on the recruiting trail? And of course, that's always been an aspect of it. Just as much as winning an election has always been part of politics.
Correct.
But being a great politician is much more important to me than whether or not you can win the damn election.
Absolutely.
But that's just not what we have,
Nope.
right?
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, you look at a guy like Bruce Pearl. I think he's not a very good coach in game, X's and O's. He's an incredible recruiter, and
He sure is.
And look at that. I mean, it's like that's all you have to do nowadays. It's like get some assistants who can somewhat coach X's and O's, and get some guys who play hard. And
He's
it's
the
like, all right.
perfect. I mean, yeah, he just looks like a used car salesman.
Yeah.
Like there's jacket. He's perfect.
His
He's a
stomach is
character, man.
hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of love Bruce
Yeah.
Pearl because
I
do
Bruce.
too. I
like
like
Bruce.
him.
I have nothing against him.
he's like, he's like from a bygone era. Like
Yeah.
we got to actually see a game from like almost a bygone era in the second round this weekend when Patino and Calipari
Yeah.
went
Awesome.
against each other.
Yeah.
Like, how many times have those guys thrown money
Oh,
at the
God.
same basketball player
Slick
and just
Rick.
like hand over fist, like who can drown this guy in money, right? Like they've been doing this for 2 decades,
Yeah.
right? And like they never, I mean, sorry guys, they never knew an above the table deal
No,
in their
God, no.
entire coaching
That's why I love
lives.
both of them, Slick Ricky and Johnny. The funniest comment I heard online this week was John Calipari's suit kind of looked like an Italian, like a tablecloth that you would have on, and it says, "Look at John Calipari doing a tribute, basically to Rick Pitino." He goes, "That's the tablecloth that he impregnated that waitress at the Italian deal on." It was so funny.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
The only
You're right. The
Slick
Calipari jacket was not great.
No, it wasn't.
No.
It wasn't. But that was a fun matchup. The only other, we don't have to talk about coaches anymore, but Ryan Odom, the VCU coach, went to Virginia this week. We already knew Will Wade was headed to NC State. And then the only other one, there was a new one today. Nico Medved, which is the Colorado State, goes to Minnesota.
Yeah, and that dude can coach.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
Very, very good coach. Did a heck of a job with Colorado State. Man, they were a tough out. I was rooting for Maryland, but I think all of us were, but they got hot and they were playing some damn good basketball. They were this close to going to the Sweet 16.
Sure enough.
Yeah.
Sure enough. And I didn't think they were that good. I watched them multiple times. Told you all a couple weeks ago when we were together on the show.
you did.
I did not like that team. Like, they seemed soft, but they got their shit together and they played great.
Played
Yeah.
great.
And Medved designs great plays.
Oh, my gosh,
it's time
awesome.
after time. He's scoring buckets for his team. I mean, that's really what defines these guys. It's like, how many points a game can you design for your
Generate,
team?
yeah.
You know? And I don't see Bruce Pearl doing a lot.
No, exactly.
That's all I'm gonna say.
That's
He's a leader of men, Bruce. Motivator.
I will give, and that's what I say. That's what I'll give Dan Hurley. If you watch that Florida game, the sets they run are incredible. I mean, it is so. That's how they were in that game, and nothing to do with it. Florida was way more talented, but Florida was like so confused with the actions, the multiple actions. You know who does a good job of that too, who I actually don't like that much, is Matt Painter. Matt Painter's a great X's and O's guy.
Really good.
Like,
man.
I heard somebody talking, it's like they have 79 to 89 plays. It's like, we don't even game plan for it because you can't. It's impossible. It's just like, all right, here's a couple of the actions we're going to see. We're not going to be able to know everything they do. It's impossible. And they run that stuff perfectly to a T. Last matchup, I forgot we didn't touch on this one.
Okay.
Kentucky, Tennessee. Very interesting matchup here. I know you guys both have Tennessee winning the whole bracket. I have Tennessee in my Final Four, not winning against Duke. I have them losing to Duke. But interesting matchup here. Tennessee, I think, is a superior team. Kentucky beat them both times in the regular season in Knoxville, and they won in Lexington. So is Tennessee going to take care of Kentucky here, or do they have something to be worried about here?
I'm glad you brought it up.
It's tough to beat a team 3 times, though. Okay, it's
I mean,
age-old adage.
I hope you're right, Turner.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
Because both you and I have Tennessee in our brackets,
Right.
but like this is the scenario I didn't want.
Yeah.
Okay. I really felt good about Tennessee getting all the way to Houston and beating Houston because I think Tennessee and Houston are very similar.
Yes.
And Tennessee's just this much better than Houston on a talent perspective.
I think so, too.
But playing Kentucky's just not what you want.
Yeah.
You've played them a couple times already. You haven't beaten them yet. Kentucky has the athletes to play with you, and obviously the confidence having done it. I don't know. Look, I'm still a believer in Tennessee because they just seem like they trust each other more than any other team that I'm watching. Those guys seem like they're a unit. So I still want them. I still believe they're going to beat Kentucky, but this is not the matchup you wanted.
No, I mean, this is the thing. And I actually, funny enough, Tennessee was, I believe, at home. They lost by 5. They were a 10.5-point favorite against Kentucky the first game they played. I remember taking Kentucky in that game thinking, I just don't know if Tennessee can score with these guys. And that's exactly the problem that they ran into. Kentucky in both games shot 50% from 3. Both games. You just don't do that to Tennessee. You don't see Tennessee allow teams to shoot above 40%, let alone 50%. Now, can they do it a third time? I don't know. Kentucky's had a lot of injuries that people forget about. The guard from BYU, I forget his name. Their point guard who was at BYU last year, the black kid, he was their best player, arguably. Krisa, who came over from Arizona, they lost him in the very beginning of the year. Butler, the point guard, had been out. He's back, but he was out for a good chunk of the year. I give it to Mark Pope. Here's a very interesting storyline that kind of tail off at this point. So you think about it. Okay, so you had Calipari leaves Kentucky and goes to Arkansas. Mark Pope leaves BYU and goes to Kentucky, and Kevin Young comes in and takes over BYU. All 3 of those teams are in the Sweet 16.
Sure enough.
How often do you see that where coaches move like that? Usually one team gets the short end of the stick. They all got better. None of these teams were in the Sweet 16 last year, and they're all in the Sweet 16 this year.
Somewhere Bill Guthridge, was that the North Carolina coach who took over? Right, from Dean Smith?
Is that who it was?
That's before my time, Beck.
Yeah, you're actually out. I don't know.
He won with Dean Smith's kids. And I don't know if he even coached another year. It was like Barry Switzer, coming in to take over the Cowboys.
Took the one Super Bowl.
I'll win with Jimmy Johnson's kids. No problem. Then he had to go get his own kids and never could do it again. Look, Tennessee and Rick Barnes have a huge task. Beating Kentucky is hard. It's always hard. But the problem is the pressure because Rick Barnes has been known as a bad tournament coach for a long time.
Yep.
And here we are. We're at one of those crossroads. And if he loses 3 times in a season to Kentucky, I don't care about the rest of the success of the Tennessee season. Those people with the orange hats on are going to go fucking nuts.
Yes, they are. And they have never been to a Final Four. Tennessee has never been to a Final Four. Which is shocking. And their fans are delusional about their program. They think they are an elite level program. And they've been good since Rick Barnes got there.
Yeah.
So I really, really like Rick Barnes, but I also acknowledge he has not won in the tournament. I get that. It's kind of a tough thing to look at because it's like we were talking about it this weekend. The tournament can be such a crapshoot. It really can. Rarely do we see the best team wins. Last couple years with UConn winning has been kind of a surprise. Really, the first year UConn won, they were dominant. They were a 4 seed. They weren't picked to win the whole thing. The last year they were and they won. That is rare. It just doesn't happen all the time. It's hard to win consistently in the tournament with matchups, and Rick Barnes hadn't done it. I really hope for his sake they win this game.
I do too.
And I hope for his sake they beat Houston and go to the Final Four. And even if they don't win it all, I would love it if Rick Barnes got it. I don't like Tennessee in general, the school. I don't like Tennessee, but I like Rick Barnes, and that's who I would be happy for. I know Bailey's going out of his skin saying that over there.
Don't talk about Bailey's alma mater like that. Okay, that's where Bailey went to school.
He knows I root for Vanderbilt, and I root for Vanderbilt because of him. And I don't like Tennessee, but I just like Rick Barnes is a Texas guy. He was at Texas for a long time.
I've always liked
Rick. Texas to a Final Four. People forget that.
Yeah.
He took Texas to their only Final Four ever.
Sure did.
So as bad as he's been at Tennessee.
Kevin Durant was on the team, dude.
No, he was not, dude.
Oh, that's
show your basketball loss.
Is that
Kevin
Aldridge?
Durant? They lost in the first fucking round. Okay,
is it Aldridge that went to the Final Four?
this was back with TJ Ford.
Ford.
Oh, it was TJ Ford's team.
It was TJ Ford.
First of all, bitch, I can name that Final Four. It was Marquette, Kansas, Syracuse, and Texas.
You only know that because Kansas was in the championship.
I don't give a fuck who was on that dog shit.
It was Dwayne Wade in Marquette. Carmelo Anthony in Syracuse, Kirk Heinrich and Nick and Collison on Kansas.
That was my squad.
And then Syracuse and so Marquette played Kansas. Kansas beat them, and Syracuse played Texas and beat them. And then it was Melo versus Kansas, and Melo beat them.
Melo
in the championship.
scored like a gazillion points in the championship.
Yep. Was Pierce gone from that Kansas team?
Yeah, he was already
gone.
Yeah,
he was
gone the year before.
Yeah, all I remember from that team is Heinrich and Collison.
It was Heinrich,
Collison.
Collison.
Those guys were really, really good.
Yes, they were.
That is a great Final Four.
It was a great Final Four.
That was one of the best Final Fours ever.
Yes,
sure.
that was awesome.
A lot of talent.
A lot of talent.
And nobody knew Dwayne Wade.
Yeah, no, nobody did know Dwayne Wade, and then sure knew him a couple years later.
Yeah.
My goodness.
I forgot what I was going to say. Y'all carry on. Oh, it was about Tennessee. I have no rooting interest for Tennessee.
Yeah.
I've only been there twice in my life, but I happen to like this version of their team.
I do too.
Yeah.
I like the way they play. Look, they have a shooter. What's their shooter's name?
Lanier.
Chaz Lanier.
Lanier, who I think can hold up in any game against the Florida kid, Walter Clayton.
Yeah.
I think he can hold up against any of these guys. And when you look at these teams and you're trying to pick who's going to win it all, you have to be thinking about what happens if you're in a close game with 2 minutes to play.
Right.
Who's your best player? Who's your go-to? I mean, that's why Carmelo in Syracuse won, right?
Yes.
Because Carmelo was the fucking man at that moment. And by the way, it was the last time I ever liked Carmelo Anthony. He was literally my least favorite player in the NBA for the next 15 years. But he was great in that Syracuse
He put up
run.
some shots, baby.
He sure did. He never turned one down.
Never turned it. Never saw a shot he did not like.
That's right.
For those who really like Duke, and they're good, I'm not going to disrespect them. If they get in that scenario where they're playing a close game with 2 minutes to play, they haven't won any of those.
No.
They are the least challenged team in the nation this year. Biggest margin of victory.
Right.
Essentially. And when they have been in close games, Cooper Flagg has not come through.
Yep. He's actually
He
slipped and dribbled the ball off his own fucking
Twice.
foot. Twice.
He's
Yes.
a big traveler.
Yeah.
Late in games.
So if Duke does get to that scenario, who do they go to? Is it him? Is it Proctor? I don't know. Proctor has the experience.
Right.
He's
He
looked
has
really
the
good
edge, and
lately.
He's been playing really well. But you got to look for a team that has a guy. Auburn, in my opinion, has two. Pettiford is the other guy.
Unreal.
Bro. I think I would actually. I know Broom is. Everybody likes him more. I would if the game was on the line, I would let Pettiford take
He's
the shot.
fucking unreal.
100%.
Fucking unreal.
He looks a lot like De'Aaron Fox did.
Yeah.
That's a good comparison.
That's who he reminds
at
me of.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
The first time I watched him, I was like, who is that? I didn't know who he was. Like, who is that? He is incredible. He's a fucking freshman. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
He's got ball skills that are just insane and a beautiful shot. I mean, I'm surprised that people aren't talking about him as a lottery pick.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he isn't because I don't follow the draft like you guys do.
He's
So
not.
I figured he'd for sure be a top 10 pick.
He is not.
Interesting.
And I don't know. Look, his size maybe.
Yeah, he's like
might
6'1",
hold
I
him
guess.
back a little bit there, but
Who cares?
dude, he's got a
baller,
handle,
man.
and nobody
Yeah.
stays in front of him.
Right.
So I like Auburn because they have
Yeah.
those guys. I don't think Michigan State has that guy.
No.
Mississippi with the headband kid.
Padula.
Okay,
Yeah.
he's their guy, but that's not a great
So
guy.
can't
No.
win you a tournament.
Walter Clayton definitely is that guy.
Yes, he is that guy.
Maryland. I don't think it's Derek Queen. I think it's their guard.
Rice?
Yes.
The guy who hits all the threes.
Yes.
Yeah.
He might be their guy. Texas Tech doesn't really have a guy.
No.
I mean, Toppin can get you on the inside, and Chase McMillan can get you on the outside, but they don't have a just hand it to me and go score guy
Right.
like the last time Texas Tech went to the final game, right?
Right.
When it was Jared Culver,
Yeah.
right? You really want one of those guys. If you're going to be picking a team for this Final Four, you got to have one of those guys. Arkansas doesn't have one. I mean, you can go through your teams on your bracket, but you really want to find a team that has a guy.
Well, that's like when I pick my bracket, we have 25 or whatever people in our deal. I was thinking maybe you had Tennessee and I had Tennessee, and there's going to be two. There ended up being four. I probably wouldn't have picked them if I knew there would be four.
Me neither.
Probably would have gone with Auburn. But the one thing I will say when I picked Tennessee is look, they play really good defense. Lanier can score it with anybody in the country when he's playing well. He's a big-time player.
Yeah.
And you have a top 5 point guard in the country with Ziegler.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm like, and they play really good defense. I'm like, this team has as good a chance of winning the championship as, not a Florida or Duke, but anybody other than that.
You know what?
Totally agree.
Yeah,
You know what I will also say that what I noticed over the weekend, and maybe it was just one game, but it felt like, and I feel like Houston does this to players. When LJ Cryer left Baylor, I thought LJ Cryer was a really fucking good offensive player. And I felt like last year, whatever the number said, he didn't he wasn't the guy that I thought he was going to be, because I thought it was like, okay, the offense will transfer and then he'll be forced to defend because he's playing for Kelvin Sampson and he's going to be really fucking good. And it just never really happened. He was good, but not great. He got better defensively, but wasn't as good offensively. But it has come this year where he is playing. And in that game I watched against, who did they play? Gonzaga. He was unbelievable. And he was a guy you could give it to and say, go make a three, go make a pull-up, go to the rim. And if he's playing like that, he's played in a national title. Yeah. He can go get you. I mean, that game, them in Tennessee, is going to be a fun. I really hope Tennessee gets through Kentucky, because I think Houston will kill Purdue, and I really want to see that matchup. I think it'll be a phenomenal game between those two.
It's a lot of really good guards that we've just talked about there really quickly. Yeah. And we didn't even get to Sears on Bama.
Sears is great too.
Who, you know, him and Zakai Ziegler at Tennessee, when the shot clock is late or when the game gets late, those guys can get you a shot. It really matters to have somebody who can do that.
Yes.
And, you know, I was asking Dylan about this, and maybe you guys out in the internet world can help me on this. When is the last time a national champion had a point guard under 6 feet tall?
So it's a good question. I'm trying to remember what we said when we were looking through them.
I mean, the only ones that
Jalen Brunson. How tall is Brunson?
I think that's what I said, but he's more of a.
Was he running the point for them? I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
No, he was
definitely.
I'm just trying to think.
He's 6 feet tall.
Is he? Okay.
I think. I mean, he certainly plays.
I know
big.
he's right. I have no idea how tall Brunson is. That's why I was just guessing.
It's
6'2".
Okay. Yeah. So he's big. I just think of him as a smaller guy. I don't know why.
I don't know that it's happened in our lifetime.
It's a very good point.
And Zakai Ziegler has a chance to do that.
Yeah, he definitely does.
I think I saw the list on him at 5'8".
That's crazy how short he is. That's wild.
Is that how big he is?
I saw the list on that.
The only guy I could think of when we were talking about it, and I think we were saying like close to 6 feet, was Shabazz Napier. I think he was taller than 6 feet.
Yeah.
But he was a small guard and was the best player on the floor. Kemba Walker was under 6 feet, wasn't he?
I don't think so.
No, is Kemba?
Kemba's taller.
I think Walker's 6'1".
Oh man, I thought for some reason he was. He says 6 feet even here on Wikipedia.
Okay, there's your answer.
So because he's under. Yeah, if they list him at 6 feet, he's 5'11".
I just think about looking at him next to guys, and I was like, that guy's really short.
Yeah,
like,
well,
comparatively,
then that's the answer.
Yeah,
and Kemba was the best player on his team.
Yes, the best player in the country that year.
My point is, it just doesn't happen.
No,
very
it doesn't.
Often,
it never happens,
which is kind of amazing. And I'm rooting for Zakai Ziegler.
I would love to see Zakai Ziegler.
The other name I was thinking of was Peyton Silva from Louisville when they won the whole deal.
Yeah,
They have him listed as 6 feet. He's 5'11" too.
Okay,
that was Rick Pitino's championship year.
That was
2011.
20. No, I was just going through all the champions, and I was like, oh, I bet Peyton Silva won. That's all. Yeah, that was in 2013.
Oh, 2013.
You guys both have great memories for all this stuff.
I'm looking. I know some of the players, but I'm just looking.
2011 was UConn. That's right. 2011 was UConn with Kemba. What am I saying?
Yeah. So that would have been.
Okay, so if y'all could go back on it, would you choose a different team?
Yeah.
Did y'all make up your mind on that?
I would take, even though they've been playing well, I would have taken Auburn just for the simple fact that I think their road's fairly easy to get to the Final Four.
Yeah.
I think they'll take care of business. Michigan State could give them a good game, and I hope they do. Like, I would rather see Michigan State there because I like Izzo, but I thought there would probably be 3 or 4 take Auburn out of the 20, and I think there was what 1 or 2 people. That
okay. If you're basing it
on that,
surprisingly,
if you're basing it on how people picked in our bracket,
right,
then I would change and probably take Duke because only 3 people took Duke and 6 took Florida. And so if I could do that, I would go back and take them. But I'm sticking with Florida just because even though I said I ranked Duke a little bit higher, I picked them in November. So I'm sticking with my pick.
If
y'all had to repick the Final Four, who would y'all have? I would still have I would change my Final Four. I'm sorry. I would keep my Final Four because I have Tennessee and the 3-1 seeds. So I would keep my Final Four the same. I would probably
I thought
change.
You had Michigan State. You don't have Michigan State in your Final Four?
Do I have Michigan State? Maybe
I
do.
Said you did.
Maybe I have Houston and Michigan State instead of Tennessee and
I'm not sure.
I can't remember now.
I think I might change one thing, and it's that Texas Tech goes to the Final Four instead of Florida.
Okay.
And the reason is because I think Maryland's going to beat Florida.
Really?
Yeah, I do. And I think Tech's going to beat Arkansas, and then Tech beats Maryland. That's
interesting.
That's what I'm hoping.
That's what I'm.
Well,
I think
that's in my opinion, that's probably the path Tech gets there. Like I think if Florida wins, I mean, they could beat Florida.
That's hard.
But having to go back-to-back, beat a hot Arkansas team, and they beat Florida, who's now won 3 straight, and you're playing. I mean, they could do it. I'm not saying they can't, but it would be a lot more helpful. I think if Maryland beats Florida, I do think Tech will go. I think Tech will beat Maryland. I think Tech is deeper than Maryland, assuming McMillan plays. Yeah. That's the key. If McMillan's not healthy, then I think
all bets are off.
All bets are off. They may not get through Arkansas without him. It's a 50-50.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah.
What if Maryland gets out of that?
They could. Look, Maryland's starting 5, and everybody says it. They call themselves the Crab 5, right? Like, which is funny, but they are one of, if not the best starting 5 in the country. They just have absolutely zero depth. So their margin for error, and Charles Barkley was talking about this. I didn't totally agree with what he said. He said, like Cooper Flagg doesn't have to play great for Duke to win because they have so many other players. With Maryland, they all 5 have to play great. I don't think they all 5 have to play great, but I think they all have to play good. Yeah. They can't have one guy have a real off game and beat a good team. Like Queen was great in the first half. Everybody else sucked. They were able to win that game because they were a little bit more talented than Colorado State, and they made one shot at the end of the game. Yeah. Against Florida or against Texas Tech, if any of those guys don't play well, I just don't see how they win the game, which it makes it hard. They have less margin for error than any other team because of that. Could they do it? Yes, because they're super talented in the top 5. But they just Gillespie's hit or miss sometimes. Their point guard, I don't know.
I'll tell you why they can't make the Final Four. Because I made 3 selections on this show: Iowa State to potentially win the national championship, Clemson to go to the Final Four, and my dark horse was Maryland to go to the Final Four, and so there's just no chance they win.
Because
I gave them the kiss. I gave them the kiss of death. There's no way they can do it.
Oh, sorry, Turner.
I know.
Sorry, Maryland.
Sorry, Maryland. Yeah, no. I don't know what. I wish I could apologize or go back on it, but I
just realized I do have what I thought initially, so it's not Michigan State, which means I don't know if I can even win the bracket now. If I don't think I can. I think Reed. I think the best I can do is second.
In your mind, you're like, Michigan State.
Yeah, but I was like, no. I think me and Reed have the exact same
Michigan State in the other bracket with us.
No, I used the same bracket. I ended up using the same bracket.
So did I.
But I'm at least in first. I'm at least in first above all the Florida people in your bracket, so I could win that one still.
I like where I'm sitting. I think I'm in 4th place.
You're in a good spot.
But I really kind of wish I could switch Tennessee to Auburn.
Yeah,
I do.
I think the one thing I'll say about Auburn, you said you don't think they've peaked yet. I will say this, and I'm curious your thoughts. If they play, actually, I'll ask you this question: If every team played up to their potential, which is a hard question to ask because it's like, what really is that? But would they beat Duke and or Florida on a neutral floor if they're playing at their peak?
Oh, God.
If Florida's playing at their peak, Duke's playing at their peak, Auburn's playing at their peak.
I don't think anybody beats Duke at their peak.
I kind of agree with that.
Yeah. I don't know how anybody beats Duke.
If Duke plays their A game, I think that's the team.
Right.
Okay, that's kind of what I think too. Yeah. I think Florida and Auburn, you're flipping a coin. I mean, the difference is slim for all 3. They're all so good. Like those are 3 national championship level teams in any given season. I think besides last year where UConn was dominant. Any other year, the last 5-10 years, those 3 teams could win a national title.
I had my doubts about Duke coming into this tournament. I really did. I thought long and hard about taking Baylor to beat them in round 2. They proved something to me taking down Baylor the way they did. Baylor was hot coming into this tournament. They were playing their best ball of the year. Norchad Omier is like nobody to trifle with.
Yep.
And they took care of that game with an ease that I did not picture them being able to do it.
Agreed.
So I will give Duke credit. They are better than I thought they were. I thought they were just a really good team playing in a bad conference. Nope. They're just really good.
They're really good. Yeah. That's going to be I would love to see the best teams get there. I know y'all want Tech. I would love Florida, Auburn, Houston or Tennessee, and Duke. That would be a phenomenal
get it in San Antonio, Dylan.
How awesome would that be?
I know.
Yep.
Are you going?
I hope you guys will offer. I don't have tickets.
I don't know. No, I wish I did too. We were saying the way to do it is, I was telling somebody this the other day, you go to Turner to this because he used to be a big Kansas fan. And so basketball. And so he went down there in 2008 or 2009, whenever that year that they played Memphis, and just find fans of the teams who lost when they're leaving the building.
North Carolina lost, I believe.
Hey guys, can you sell me your ticket for $100? If you're not going to go to the game, they might give it to you.
And
literally,
the guy goes, there was a donor. I was probably like 10, and it was
that probably helped too.
Big North Carolina donor's like, hey sir, it's like I'm a big, and they didn't lose to Kansas, I don't think, or maybe they did, but I was like, hey, I would really like to go to the national championship. Can I buy your tickets from you? And he goes, here, kid, you can have them.
Yeah.
Just
No
gave them
way.
to me. Yeah. So I was at the Mario Chalmers,
No way.
Derrick Rose.
Yeah,
That's dope.
Yeah, it was cool. I told Dylan I'm going to sign up my 10-year-old niece to go out there, little redhead,
Yeah.
and be like,
That's
wear a jersey and be like, sir, please, I just want to go. We're going to collect like 20 tickets and sell them all and stuff.
dress her up like
yeah,
Annie.
clean up.
Yes, I like this
Yeah.
idea.
And we're all going for free, and then we'll make another 20 grand.
I like this idea. Let's do this thing.
I'm in.
I'm in too.
Yeah.
Let's make this a
Dylan
scheme.
goes, I said, I'll have to pay her $100. Dylan goes, give her 20. I said, no, she drives a hard bargain. She'll
And if anybody
she'll put
out
on an
there-
act.
If anybody out there has tickets,
Yes.
Yes.
needs some company, I mean,
I'll take
we can talk hoops with you.
Yeah, we're fun to talk hoops with, obviously. So, you guys got anything else you want to talk about?
I'm ready to wrap, friend.
Yep.
Let's wrap it up. Thank you guys for joining us. Make sure, as always, like and subscribe. Vex, thanks for joining us again.
Pleasure's
Vex.
Vex. Thank
Always a fun time. You're welcome on whenever again, and we'll be back to talk March Madness, wrap up the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 next weekend. So we'll be here next Monday. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Cheers.